Cool. All right, so here we are, Harrelson Hangout. I know we've been doing this for quite a long time. Scott, KJ, thanks for joining me. I just wanted to tell you I'm excited to speak with KJ. KJ, how long have we been working together?
6 years.
6 years. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk with KJ, and him and I have been working together for quite a while, and I like to give him some coaching ideas. He runs a great business here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina already. But he and I have just we're on a mission to help KJ get up to 100 transactions or more, and man, he's really close. So today's conversation is really going to be how can we what kind of tips can I share, and how can we mastermind him going to 100 transactions? But before we jump into that information, KJ, tell us where you are right now, maybe where you were in your production yesterday, not yesterday, but last year, and we'll just kind of go ahead and ask some questions and dive right into it.
Okay. Last year I was at 75 closed transactions. Sorry, Greg. I was at 82 last year. I was at 75 the year before that. I was at 82 transactions last year.
Okay, got it. So what are you on? So you were at 85 the previous year, 75 last year. Is that what you said?
75 2 years ago, 82 last year.
82 last year. Okay, 75, 80. So what were you even before the 75?
72. 45, 17.
Okay, got it. So 17, 45, 72, 75, 82.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. So for anybody that might be listening to this, and of course I'm focusing on you, KJ. So that's what I would call a plateau. Now, huge quantum leap. Mm-hmm. From the 40s into the 70s, mm-hmm. And then you got to 72, 75, 82, 82. That's that's good. That's it's seven more transactions. But I think somebody like you, being a coach, somebody like you, I know that you could do 20, 30, 40 more transactions if you want to. But can you tell me, like, what do you think was what happened that allowed you to go from the 40s to the 70s? What took place during that time? What was your big breakthrough at that time?
Well, I mean, at that time, Greg, I was still broke and busted, I guess, so I was still putting in the extra time, working more nights, more weekends, probably more contacts per day. And, once I guess I hit that 70 mark, things started, maybe what I was doing on my daily basis started slowing down from what I was doing when I was, say, starving, I guess.
Okay, all right, got it. So basically, you it sounds like you made a lot of sacrifices, mm-hmm. to go, because you almost doubled your business. So I mean that's normal, I guess, for somebody to go from the 40s to the 70s, that they would have to make a lot of sacrifices. The good thing is you probably got a lot of rewards also in income and whatnot through that. So what would you, in your opinion, what do you feel is the reason why you're plateauing? And listen, the reality is you've got a damn good business. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's no doubt about it. So it's not like we've got to fix anything. It's just a matter of how do we get you to break through to 100. But I'm sure there's also some things that you don't want to give up, which may be family time and whatnot. So we're all trying to work around this. You don't want to just sell out your family so you can hit a number, because it's just not all about the financials. But in your mind, going for the 3 years where you're kind of plateaued, what do you think has caused you to plateau, or what's going on? What do you think's going on?
I think a lot of it, Greg, I mean, that first couple years, I mean, obviously I was working a lot of nights, I was working a lot of weekends, so yeah, I was giving up a lot of family time and things to do with the family, which obviously we couldn't at that time afford to do many things. So but now I got there, you know where I'm at. I mean, as far as coaching, I'm real, involved with coaching with my kids, little girl riding horseback riding, so my nights now with coaching, it's, I'm coaching baseball, and a lot of my weekends I'm gone with travel baseball, and, my little girl riding horses at competition. So, my kids are at that stage of life where I'm not wanting to give up that family time, I guess, to compensate or to do what I feel like it would have to be done work-wise to take the business to the next level. or to gain that extra 20, 30, 40 deals or what I might be needing.
Okay, so here's something that we need to discuss, and it is something that I think we kind of touched on it maybe in the hallway of one of my office, or in the office, or something. But I think that where we need to spend some time is this. It seems like you feel that in order to grow your business, you have to take away from your family, or in order to actually experience your family in the way that you want to experience it, that you may have to take away from your business. Is that kind of one of your fears that you think may exist, that says, you know, hey, look, I'm going to choose my family over my business, but it seems like you think it's an either or. And I just put those words in your mouth, and I really don't want, I want these to be your words, but I am observing that and just wondering if that's a situation that you're dealing with.
Well, I mean, obviously, yes. I mean, that's definitely how it's coming out. That's probably how I feel as well. I mean, you know, we've talked about that as well in the past, you know, growing up and being raised, I guess, to do better, or to do more, you got to work more and get more and this and that. I know with my business right now, there's a lot of business I'm missing by not working some nights during the week, probably not working, you know, a couple Saturdays a month. So, you know, I definitely feel, no matter what, or without a doubt, that I'm losing or not gaining business from not being able to work those times right now. So, so yes, I guess that is.
Let me ask you this. Yeah, so let me ask you this. If you were to work some evenings, if you were going to work some evenings, what would you be doing during the evening?
Calling expireds, as well as probably some.
Okay, so it would be calling the expireds. As follows. And tell me, what is the mix of your business? You know, expireds, FSBOs, centers of influence. You know, if you can give me, I know you know your numbers, and you know them pretty well. What percentage comes from what? What are your sources of business?
I'm probably at about 40 to 42% of my business comes from my database, people I've talked to in the past that I've been nurturing or speaking to, emailing through the years. About probably 40, 45% comes from my centers of influence, and you know, probably 15%, 10 to 15% is probably expireds and FSBOs.
Okay, got it. Okay, so here's something that we could think about here. So a little bit more than 80%, let's just call it 80%, of your business comes from database management, so nurturing your databases, calling your database, and also centers of influence. So centers of influence, sphere calls, referrals coming from people that you've just known for years and years. Is that being the case? That being the case, here's something that might be interesting to think about. If you were going to work nights and work weekends, you would be working nights and weekends doing follow-up and expireds. But expireds, though you do a good expired business, expired business does represent a small portion of your overall business. So I'm wondering if it's not really doing more expireds that you need to be doing, if maybe we just need to be focusing on how to work your centers of influence at another level, and how to work your database at another level. And by the way, those are two things that can be done during the daytime and don't have to take night and weekend. In addition to that, those are things that can be done by somebody else if you chose to maybe venture off and have an assistant maybe leverage some of their time. So I'm saying, because 80% of your business is coming from an area that you can kind of better dictate the time that you are working that database, it's very leverageable. And it also might be some efficiencies during the day that we could focus on. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely makes sense. I mean, I know we've talked about it before. You know, you always want to, you know, work on your strengths, things that are already creating the business, to really put more time and effort into those. I guess when I was doing my numbers last year and I was looking at stuff, you know, this year is probably the first year I'm really starting and focusing hard on expireds, you know, like every morning, you know, and during the day. So now it's become part of my morning call ritual, you know. So I look at the business that I probably have been losing over the last couple of years by not working the expireds, or saying the FSBOs, you know, that hard, that in doing that, that could maybe pick up those extra 20 to 30 deals that I might need to crack that 100 mark.
Yeah. Okay. So here's one of the things that you may, if you don't have a pen. This is recorded. But on centers of influence, one of the things as I'm thinking about you, and I told you I had something in my mind that I wanted to share with you. We've talked about a domination plan for your centers of influence. So I want to kind of talk about my suggestions to you on how you could take your centers of influence and maybe add another 20 to 25 deals just out of that. For those that are listening, KJ did grow up in our market, most of his life, and so he does have a very large centers of influence, probably much larger than he even has them in his database. He does have a good centers of influence. So I really want to focus on that aspect. That's an asset that you have that I think can be leveraged to another level. So in my mind, I kind of made some notes here, and basically what I did is I said, here's some things that I suggest, and I'm calling this a centers of influence domination plan. Okay, and the domination plan is simple. Number one, some of these you may already be doing, and some of these may be addition, but the focus point needs to be very consistent with doing this, and then making sure that it's done in the right frequency. Okay. Sure. Number one is every centers of influence needs to be called every quarter. Now that's nothing new. Gosh, every coach and every coaching program probably says you need to call your centers of influence once a quarter. Okay. I know there's other things that people talk about, but that's just one of the things about everyone talks about. Okay. Mm-hmm. Number two is I think you need to do direct mail, and I'm not a big direct mail proponent. So for those of you that are listening, don't go out there and start spending, $50,000, a year on direct mail. I mean, just because of this statement, you can do it because you think it's good, but right now that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is take your centers of influence, and once a month, actually send a just sold card to your centers of this, but what's key is the consistency and frequency. You're calling them once a quarter. Every single month, they're going to be receiving a just sold card for you. And then number three, I hear mail, like physical mailing. So at once a quarter, you're going to mail them a quarterly report, and it's just going to be a one-page sheet, double-sided. And it's going to be a synopsis of what's going on in the local real estate market. And this is data-driven. So it may have something, on the front, you may have a paragraph of information explaining that, you're their preferred agent, and here's your quarterly report. And then you're going to have Eric, our CFO, deliver you quarterly numbers on our market. And it's going to be put into a flyer that you will then physically mail. So it's really... 2 months in a row would be a just sold postcard, and then at the end, which would be the quarter, would be a quarterly report for the previous quarter. So now they're getting called once a quarter, they're getting mailed every month, and then one of the mailers is a quarterly report. This is all information. The call is to establish more rapport, be in touch with them. The mailer is just going to be telling them once a month that you're actually busy, that you're getting stuff done. The quarterly report is where you're adding value and you're educating them, and because you're the educator, now you're looked as an authority, as their authority. The last one that you may not be doing, and I would bet that there's not as many people doing this, is once a month. I want you to take that database, and of course we've got Daniel to help you with this, our marketing manager in the office. But I want you to take the same database that you're mailing, that you're calling, and that you're sending the quarterly report, and then I want you to create a Facebook custom audience, and once a month for 3 days straight, I actually want you to go into Facebook and create an ad. Now the ad could be find out what your property's worth. It could be KJ just sold another property. I'm not really suggesting that you do this for lead capture, even though it's great if we can come up with some ways to capture their leads, but the reality is you're doing this for branding purposes. Again, it's like they open up their computer every once in a while, bam, there's where they see you. Now it may be, you just finished a quarterly report, click here if you'd like to see the quarterly report. There's many ideas, but the key is I want them to open up their Facebook, and I want them phone, and I want you to be there. And that's the key. So I call this the Centers of Influence Domination Plan, because we're going to be hitting them from multiple media, multiple channels. And then what we're forcing them to do is obviously you're forcing yourself to be their agent, to be the top of mind for them. And I believe we can actually not only grow your database, but more importantly, I think we can take this database and we can convert quite a bit more more deals out of it. So that would be number one. And if you notice, KJ, one of the things that I said to you, I said, I can't wait to talk to you on this coaching call, because I felt like I thought of something that was important. And here it is. I know your work ethic is really good, okay? And your family ethic is really good. Like, you work hard and you like to be with the family and play hard. And both of those are fantastic. So for those agents that are out there like KJ, if you're thinking, gosh, you're going to have to give up one to get another, then that's not true. You just have to, like, maybe think of new ways to do it. Take the 40% of your business that's coming for centers of influence. Let's just say that 40%, that's 30-something deals. Now let's go add 15 deals out of it by doing something like this domination plan. And by the way, besides the phone call, everything that I just said can be delegated to your assistant. And that's what's important, is you can grow this business through delegating some of this stuff to your assistant, which does not mean you have to come back in at night and on Saturdays and give up your family time to make calls. Now, I know Monday through Friday, I know you're going to make calls and you're going to do other things. So it's not like you're trying to get away from prospecting, but we can add these deals that you want to do, that you want to add through delegation. Any questions on that? Anything
None.
you want to add to that?
None.
None. Okay, got it. So the next thing is, now that you've got, so step one would be for you to actually sit down, and we can sit down and talk about this, but figure out everything that you need to do to get this, to execute this. Then you meet with your assistant, and basically 90% of everything that needs to be done you should be able to delegate to that to your assistant. Okay? Go ahead and get that running within the next, say, 2 weeks. Get that thing running. Okay? Think about, like, what is the postcard that you're going to send? Just talk to our marketing department, choose a postcard, and then, once a month, send that out there. And you might choose that, that your postcard may have multiple properties that you sold, since it's only once a month and it's to your centers of influence. Maybe you have, 5 of the properties that you just sold on that postcard, and then every month they get that. Okay, so delegate that out. Then turn your focus on building your centers of influence database. How many people do you think are in your centers of influence database that you do feel like you contact consistently?
100.
100, okay. Now, you and I both know that that number could be 200, it could be 300, it could be probably 4,
Yeah.
It could be 500, okay. All right, so it could be 500. So let's just say if you moved it from 100, and your centers of influence, you've been doing through referrals and direct business, you've been doing 30 transactions a year. Okay, that's an extraordinary number. Now, what if that centers of influence went from 100 to 200? And at the same time, the amount of communication touches, the amount of exposure that you had was the domination plan. So not only are you, because you're just calling them for the most part, but now you're calling them, emailing them. Well, you're calling and email, and continue to call, email, add direct mail, and then add the Facebook, and then you increase the number from 100 to 200. I don't know that the ratio of you getting 30 more deals from just that 100 will be accurate, but I will bet.
We losing?
He's there. He's paused. Greg! All right, well, hopefully he comes back here. I got a question for you, KJ.
What?
How many Facebook friends do you have? Do you use that actively?
Yeah, well, it's mine and my wife's page. We've got a shared page that we use. Probably a couple hundred.
Couple hundred. Okay, so I want you to start using that as well and adding everyone that you meet
Mm-hmm.
and have a conversation with. You just add them as a friend on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason for that is that that's a way to build your centers of influence as well. All right. And then if you use LinkedIn, it's another thing that you can do as well. And then at some point, you can export those into your email marketing system, those actual emails, so then you can add to your database and slowly start transitioning those people from people that like are nurtured and know you to actual like real centers of influence, right? So it's kind of like a progression of building that centers of influence up and making it bigger. So that's something that we kind of coach our clients on doing, which I think it's a huge thing, because 100 people, the fact that you're getting that many deals from 100 people is it's impressive. But you've been in the area as long as you've been in, like your center of influence is much bigger than I think you realize. And so yeah, making phone calls to many people is a lot, but doing other things, even adding video to some of your emails that you're sending to stay in touch that way.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, a lot of the business I'll get sometimes from my centers of influence, they might not even be people who are in my centers of influence database. You know, I run into them, we get talking real estate, and oh gosh, yeah, KJ, I got a friend of mine who's just talked to me yesterday about selling their house, you know, or yeah, but I know a lot of people around here, but obviously I didn't even say a majority of them, you know, in my database or to where I'm in constant communication with them.
Yeah, I would say that you want to focus on that, and then especially like your involvement with the sports, and there's so many people that you're in touch with. It's just a matter of saying, you know, understanding that you're going to be sending valuable information to actually help them, and then making sure that you do, but then also, you know, letting them know that and getting their contact info, saying, hey, I just want to stay in touch. And so that's going to be, you know, if you can do that with 2 to 3 people, you know, every day would be, even if it's just 1 a day during your 5 business days, I mean, you're adding 20 more people a month then. That's crazy.
I just started doing that over the last month or 2 with all the ball teams and stuff, getting all the parents' emails and numbers and stuff. I mean, I was shocked when I got to thinking about it. I know these people so well. I see them all the time, and I don't even have their email, their number. I'm not even contacting them. They might not even know I'm in real estate, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and you're doing them a disservice by not doing that.
Yeah.
Because you have value to add for them, right? And so you have to think of it from that perspective. You add a ton of value. You're really good at what you do, obviously. So you need to be staying in touch with them for their benefit.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's
Greg,
absolutely so.
Oh, your connection's so much better now.
Yeah,
too.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. It went off. Now we're back on. So anyway, so that was great, Scott, what you guys just talked about. So, you know, so KJ, here's the thought. I think what you need to do is you need to make bigger commitments. But let's define this and say, KJ, you need to make a real big commitment, but let's say a commitment to a number of people that you will have in your, let's just call it your A centers of influence list. So you said you got 100, but you know that you really have more than 100. But we qualified the question by saying ones that you consistently communicate with. So that's 100. That number needs to be 200.
Easily.
Now, yeah, and the key is for you is, and I think you were touching on this, you and Scott were talking about this, you already have the people all around you. You actually already have the names a lot of times. Maybe you're missing a key email, maybe you're missing a telephone number. You actually have, you could sit there and probably list out an additional 100 that you need on your A list, and then all you have to do is make a big commitment to collect all of that data into one database. Once you have that in database, put them in Infusionsoft, bam, the nurture program's already done. Have your assistant, when you have your assistant help you with your mailer, it doesn't matter if it's 100 or 200 or 2,000. The task of her actually, you know, organizing the mailer, because it's not like she's handwriting them all, but the task of her to organize the mailer is the same whether it's 100, 200, or like I said, thousands. And so what I want you to take away is that the pain that you're going to have to go through to get your list to 100, an additional 100 to 200, well, I'm going to say 200. We'll deal with 300 later. But for the pain that it's going to take for you to get to 200 is the only pain that you're going to actually experience to get over 100 sales transactions. I just know it, and I know it because I know you, and I know the way that you do your business, that the business is going to be there. So I think you need to stop thinking about, well, if I, in order to do over 100 deals, I'm going to have to, maybe I won't be able to coach baseball as much. Or maybe I'm not going to be able to, watch my daughter ride horses on the weekend, or I'm going to skip these things. Let's just not even have that conversation. Let's not even have the conversation about you doing 100 deals anymore. Let's have a conversation about you getting to 200 people in a solid database that you're running a Centers of Influence domination plan on. And that's it. It's the end of the story. There's nothing else for you and I to think about. Your whole business is going to be correlated to the size of your Centers of Influence database and you executing the domination plan. I am convinced if you continue to follow your same habits and you add an additional 100 people to your database and run that domination plan, I'm convinced that you're going to get to 100. I really am. Any thoughts or questions on that?
Simplifies things a little bit, but when I was just talking with Scott there about the database, Greg, that all the people I'm seeing every night at these ball games, and that I know them. We're not close friends, but we talk, every week when I see them. I need to be taking that time to get their information, their Facebook, their names, their numbers, their emails, and let them know who I am, what I do, and I want to keep y'all updated with things going on and stay in touch with you.
Yeah, and one of the things I suggest now that we're implementing this plan, Greg, the domination plan, what you can do with these new people that you're adding is the phone call that you make to add value, you call and let them know that you want to verify info because you're going to be sending some really good content in that mailer that you're sending once a month to keep them informed about the properties that are selling, right? So that's your reason for the call essentially, and if you have that reason, you can crank through those and build that database very quickly. I have no doubt.
Yeah. Let me add one other thing too to the domination plan. That when you're sending the email out monthly, but the other thing is at the end of every quarter when you mail out the postcard or the mailer that has the market update, the data, I also want you to put the email for that particular month needs to have you with have a video like the video marketing. Go ahead and make sure that you're also doing a video updating them on the real estate market. So basically, you're going to be doing a market update in video form, and you're going to be doing it in mailer form. So there's a lot of consistency. It's the same content, but you're just going to be doing it in video form. And the thing that you can be doing on your Facebook, just to this one category, is you could also each month you could do a monthly real estate update. And that could be the focal point of your Facebook ads. It's nothing more than driving them to watch a video about you talking about, or of you talking about the real estate market. And that's once a month. So if you think about it, you're calling them, you're doing just sold, you're giving them market data via mail, you're giving them market data via video. In my opinion, not only will the original 100 people in your Centers of Influence give you more business, but you're going to get a tremendous out of the additional hundreds that you put on. This is what we're talking about, total immersion. You are just kind of like hitting them from every angle, like shock and awe. You're coming from the sea, you're coming from the air, and you're coming from the land. That's what we're focusing on.
Well, I think it's also branding me to all these people as well, like people I might know, but they don't know me very well. Well, at least, hey, gosh, he's in real estate, he does well, he really knows this market, so that's another step with it I'm looking at too.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. It's 100%. And the thing about it, KJ, that I'm excited is this is something that you can take on, you can delegate, and you can grow with. You can grow your business at the same time as grow your family time by taking on this strategy. So keep everything else kind of consistent. You've got a good, you've mastered doing 70 to 80 deals. You've mastered it. Continue doing that. Now we're just going to go in and add a few ideas on centers of influence to push you over to 100.
Got it.
Other than that, we're good to go. Well, hey,
All right.
Scott, KJ, I appreciate it. If there's any final words, but I'm kind of done. I had it in my mind not to, try to give KJ, 500 ways to make money. He already knows one way to make money. I just wanted to enhance it with the domination plan. Be consistent, follow the plan, and next thing you know, you're going to hit over 100 deals. That's it for me. It's a wrap.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks. Thanks, guys, for watching,
Okay.
and we'll see you next time on the Harrelson Hangout.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott.